I'm typing this on a throwaway account because despite the movie deal, the trending hashtags, and the swarm of blue-check vultures in my DMs, I still need one corner of the internet that feels like standing at an unnoticed open mic. The cafe where I'm sitting is the same Brooklyn hole in the wall where 5.5 years ago I pinned index cards to a corkboard while the barista pretended the sight wasn't depressing. Last night, Variety leaked that Paramount and 3 streamers are clawing at each other for the film rights to my debut novel. Yet here I am nursing a $2 house drip, guarding the ritual that kept me sane long before success learned my name. If influencer author exposed as literary thief scrolled across your feed earlier this year, you already know the bones. Pretty older sister steals quieter sibling's manuscript, rides it to #1 lists, then gets obliterated by a mountain of receipts. What the headlines skip is the precision surgery required to turn betrayal into a wrecking ball. Forgiveness never made the outline. I wanted equilibrium, and I wanted it loud. Consider this less a confession than a field manual for anyone ever told to stay quiet while someone else cashes their thunder. Erica and I share a last name, a stubborn cowlick, and little else. She was born 2 years earlier and discovered before kindergarten that attention has an exchange rate. By 15, she reigned over varsity show choir feeds. By 20, she'd converted that following into a full-time influencer brand. Fitness apps, teeth whitener codes. Enough had ads to bruise an algorithm. At family dinners, Dad would tilt his phone so everyone could watch Erica's latest reel, while I tried to explain Cold War dead drops to the mashed potatoes. Mom would chirp, "Fun hobby," then pivot back to follower counts. Meanwhile, books were the only room where nobody interrupted me. At 17, I filled spiral notebooks with messy fan fiction until practice sharpened into habit. After university, I found a grocery job that offered health insurance, hoarded paychecks, and rented a studio the size of an elevator to chase a story idea gnawing at my ribs. The spark hit after a sleepless binge of declassified CIA archives. What if an ordinary daughter discovered her accountant father was a clandestine operative whose greatest act of patriotism was also his betrayal of her childhood? Working title, Glass and Shadow. Research became an obsession. Days off found me on buses to the National Archives Annex, drowning in redacted documents. I bribed a retired analyst with Raspberry Rugelach for an interview about signal sites in Eastern Europe. Evenings hunched over microfiche left grooves in my palms from the crank. Dialogue leapt straight from those sessions. Russian tech jargon, the precise weight of a coded dead drop, the clack of type bars in safe houses. Every scrap went into Scrivener folders color-coded like war rooms. The routine was monastic. Alarm at 4:45, coffee brewed the night before, 1,500 new words before sunrise, or the day failed. By year 3, a lattice of index cards covered every wall. By year 4, timeline braids snapped into place so perfectly I cried. My social life was a Wednesday trivia crew and a Discord critique group that knew me only as Quiet Quill. Every few months, Erica asked for a chapter to hype you up, and I sent polished PDFs, mistaking her silence for support. Last March, New York slipped back into winter overnight. Sleet polished the sidewalks into glass. I left the bodega with clementines, slipped, and heard the crack in my wrist before the cold registered. 5 hours later, I was home, arm cased in plaster, brain buoyed by prescription fog. Erica arrived with coconut water, snapped a selfie captioned "Family First," and asked to borrow my laptop to print the manuscript so I could mark it up left-handed. Painkillers blurred suspicion. I rattled off the drive path and my password. She left with a hug and my laptop. 6 weeks later, the cast came off. Fingers twitching, I opened the laptop. My compass was gone. The drive folder wasn't in trash, not archived, just vanished. Brandon from work saved me the detour. Turn on NBC. Erica sat on the Today couch, glossy hair framing a hardcover titled "Veil of Ashes." The anchor praised her eerie authenticity. I tasted metal and sprinted to the alley to scream. She finally answered on the 12th ring. Her hello shimmered with champagne. I demanded the truth. She sighed, said I'd abandoned the book and she'd refined it. Refined, as though theft were a spa treatment. I warned her about copyright law. She laughed, silver and hollow. Publishers vet for that, Naomi. Welcome to the big leagues. Click. Feelings don't win lawsuits. Receipts do. Google Drive stores a revision trail deeper than the trench. I exported every time-stamped save since day one, pulled nightly Scrivener backups from Dropbox, printed workshop critiques bearing my name, scraped Discord threads where beta readers debated Chapter 4, and crowned the pile with a voice memo recorded 18 months earlier in which I read Chapter 14 aloud, announcing the date like a radio host. Brandon swore by an IP lawyer named Mallory Keene, whose homepage promised she expects plagiarism in hell. Mallory ironed her blazers with lasers. After skimming my evidence, she asked if I wanted compensation or annihilation. Annihilation, I said. She nodded. Then let her climb. Altitude makes the fall fatal. Altitude came fast. Veil of Ashes debuted at number 1. Erica trended on Book Talk with teary writing journey clips, sold foreign rights in 19 languages, and launched a fragrance called Veil that smelled like powdered sugar and lies. While she sparkled, I wrote a new novel, because revenge alone can't be oxygen. Still, I documented every exaggeration. The claim that CIA files are kept in crystal cases. The tweet about writing Draft 2 during margarita naps. The podcast lie that our father carried classified guilt. Screenshot after screenshot filled a folder labeled Perjury Fuel. Our parents believed her. She just has more hustle, Mom said when I tried to explain. Dad asked why I couldn't be happy for the family. I blocked their numbers for a season. I infiltrated one event in disguise. Wig, hoodie, blue contacts. During the Q&A, I asked how she embedded the palindrome cipher in Chapter 29 without breaking pacing. She misidentified it as an anagram. 2 days later, BookTube channels looped the clip. Author doesn't know own book. Seeds planted. Mallory lobbed the grenade when Netflix announced a limited series. She filed a complaint thicker than a phone book, naming Erica, Harper Easton, and Netflix for willful infringement, and requested an emergency injunction freezing royalties. Simultaneously, she messengered a confidential demand. Surrender global rights, pay damages, or endure discovery. Publishers can weather lawsuits, not brand rot. 5 days later, Harper Easton folded. Public statement acknowledging conclusive evidence of misattribution. Immediate transfer of rights. Remaining advance wired to a trust in my name. Full future cooperation. Quiet paperwork done, spectacle began. Mallory filed a defamation suit in a court with lightning-fast electronic dockets and tipped Lit Expose. Their midnight story, the influencer who catfished publishing, detonated online. Erica Gate rocketed to the top of global trends. Erica's Insta-Live apology never said sorry. Comments scrolled faster than tears. Someone asked her to explain the double exposure metaphor in Chapter 8. An 8-second pause became a meme, complete with buffering wheel. Sponsors fled, her agent vanished, Netflix pressed pause. Paramount smelled opportunity and called Mallory wanting the rightful author. I demanded executive producer credit, back-end points, casting approval, and a scholarship fund for marginalized thriller writers named after our grandmother. They agreed in 24 hours. Depositions were kabuki theater. Erica claimed collaboration. Mallory produced the contract clause swearing sole authorship. When digital forensics showed her logging into my drive-on surgery night at 0314, her lawyer cursed on record. Settlement stripped her of every dollar earned, liquidated her LLC, and transferred the Veil trademark. She kept the Tesla and the clothes in her closet. Public sympathy evaporated. News helicopters circled our parents' subdivision. Dad's voicemail shook with regret. Mom sent a 3-page apology layered over decades of favoritism. I filed both with my first rejection slip, artifacts for a future memoir. Revenge is a meal that doesn't end when you're full. Some nights I refreshed Erica's follower freefall until dawn. Dr. Chen, a therapist specializing in post-litigation adjustment, reminded me justice and healing are distant cousins. We set goals, finish the new manuscript, celebrate without apology, dismantle doom scroll habits. I retitled Glass and Shadow to The Daughter's Glass to reclaim the narrative. Harper Easton, desperate for redemption, offered a relaunch campaign usually reserved for blockbuster celebrities. I agreed on one condition. The first edition would carry a forward recording the Thefadn in Resurrection. They swallowed hard and printed it. Release week shattered expectations. Midnight parties wrapped around blocks. Scandal chasers stayed for the prose. The novel outsold Veil threefold. Critics praised surgical pacing and a twist that would make Le Carré whistle. My bank flagged royalty deposits as potential fraud. Paramount greenlit filming next spring. The screenwriter sent the pilot. I marked it on the same subway line where rough scenes were born and cried. For pride without caveat. Success feels alien and familiar. Alarm still screams at 4:45. Pages still demand blood. The difference is everything after sunrise belongs to me. During the quiet months after the Today Show ambush, grocery aisles were gauntlets. Customers chatted about the bestseller everyone was reading, while I bit my tongue until it bled. Lunch breaks saw me behind pallets, combing cloud storage logs like a rookie forensics tech. Miguel from Critique Group mirrored my drafts across 6 countries. Priya taught me to create Shea 256 fingerprints, admissible in court. Tamika wrote an erasure poem of Erica's lies that went viral in literary Twitter's underbelly. One bleak weekend, I took a Chinatown bus to D.C. to secure an affidavit from Arthur Hale, the retired analyst who'd first taught me about double agents. Over Raspberry Rugelach, he signed, adding that my scene IDs matched genuine CIA labeling. Another plank in the scaffold. Timing mattered. Harper Easton had slipped Vale into contention for the Claremont Prize. Mallory told me to let it win. Bigger trophy, bigger damages. I attended the Chicago ceremony under a brunette bob. When Erica lifted the plaque, I clapped until my palms hummed, engraving the high point we planned to hollow out. Money landed before the clerk's gavel fell. Wired advances rerouted, foreign publishers begging for corrected contracts. I paid off student loans, then funneled a chunk into a quiet legal aid fund for authors. Revenge uninvested is just a bonfire. I wanted central heating. Not all victories felt sweet. Paparazzi cornered me after my last grocery shift, yelling about the treacherous sister. Footage shows me hugging my coat like armor. That night, I unplugged every smart device, convinced cameras lurked behind LED eyes. Dr. Chen said trauma sometimes arrives dressed as triumph. Healing crept in anyway. A retreat upstate with the Critique Group featured bonfire drafts and a cake shaped like a redacted folder. I laughed so hard I sob-snorted, an ugly sound that cracked something open. On tour, a teenager handed me a dog-eared veil with Erica's name crossed out, my own glitter penned in. I carried it through every airport like a talisman. Production meetings blur now. Storyboard artists, an intimacy coordinator for the interrogation flashback, tie-knot workshops with the lead actor, because I'd obsessed over that detail for pages. On set in Prague, a prop MiG glinted under winter sun. The set dresser gave me a chunk of fake runway asphalt signed by the crew. It sits on my desk beside Erica's court-ordered apology letter, monuments to origin and outcome. Paramount screened the rough cut 3 weeks ago. I devoured popcorn and laughed at every gasp during the cipher reveal. When lights rose, a marketing exec asked whether the credits should read based on the novel by Naomi H. or written by Naomi H. I pointed at the latter. Nobody argued. Next month, the Bulgarian edition drops. I can't read Cyrillic yet, but I'm learning enough to thank readers in their language. Scholarship applications opened quietly. 8 writers now cut 1 shift a week to chase ideas. The welcome email quotes a line from The Daughter's Glass. Silence is not consent. It is only the space before the signal. A journalist asked if I regret losing a sister. The question assumes I ever had one. Blood is geography, not allegiance. What I mourn are the years I believed applause might translate to love. 2 weeks ago, an unknown number texted, "Talk? I'm suicidal." Erica, of course. Dr. Chen reminded me responsibility and guilt are separate species. I forwarded the message to her local crisis hotline and blocked the number. Revenge didn't require cruelty, only consequence. Production wrapped principal photography on a decommissioned Czech airbase. Standing on cracked tarmac, I remembered my first research rabbit hole about clandestine air corridors. Full circle. Tomorrow I fly to Austin for the film's panel. Afterward, I'll slip to a dingy cafe, order burnt coffee, and pin fresh note cards for the next story. Because persistence is the ultimate revenge. Theft couldn't strangle the pipeline. The words still gather, waiting for the 4:45 alarm. If you've read this far, screenshot relentlessly, date stamp fanatically, and guard your passwords like plot twists. Thunder is just noise. The storm belongs to whoever seeds the clouds. End of field manual. Time to tip the barista who once joked I'd turn coffee into a castle and catch a few hours of sleep before dawn drills. The pages await, and they recognize only one author.